Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, coming to you live to talk about the latest episode of the anime series Princess Principal, which, if I'm completely no holds barred honest, I did not really expect to be coming on afterward to do a video talking about, were it not for the last couple of minutes when that other leg finally drops pertaining to the history, the backstory of Ange, the standout character for me from the first episode. If it weren't for that gobsmacking revelation, I probably wouldn't have been motivated to actually talk about this episode. It was just spectacular. I mean, I enjoyed the episode for the most part, but in a sort of passive manner where I was enjoying it. I wasn't entirely invested. I wasn't entirely following everything that was going on in the ins and outs of this spy game that was afoot. We see very much at the start of the episode Ange is being, sort of welcomed to this academy, infiltrating it, if you will, in this grand spy game, and the entirety of the crowd is boisterously accepting of her, calling her kawaii, cute, and all this kind of stuff, with the exception of one woman who turns out to be her contact within the academy, and they are pointedly sort of directing toward the character of Princess. I guess she's supposed to swap out identities with the princess to some political means, ends and such like that. And all of that, it was mildly interesting, but I really wasn't wholly following it, hook, line, and sinker. When they finally get around to this grand gala ball where most of this is meant to transpire, it was meticulously gorgeous. I loved the character designs, the grand, meticulous nature of the animation of all the gowns and the ballroom. There was a mesh of sort of 3D CGI with the actual design of the ballroom, a la, if you go back to the Disney classic, the modern classic that is Beauty and the Beast, and that meshed with 2D animated characters dancing across the ballroom floor and everything. And it was gorgeous. It was eye candy to me. I was enjoying that aspect of it. And but then they get word that they have to sort of eschew for the time being their directive toward the princess character for this official who has these stolen blueprints that are contained within a vault. He's carrying the key that he expects to be giving to the Duke of Normandy later that evening, as a means by sort of defecting, I guess. He's seeking asylum and protecting his own life, the life of his family, his wife most pointedly. And so basically Ange and her compatriot have to intervene, have to get that key off of this official and everything like that. And so Ange, in her confidence, she decides to pointedly try to kill two birds with one stone and, take out Princess, take on her identity, as well as getting at the blueprints, the key at least to them. And it's somewhat, a spectacular spy game how she manages to do all of this, spilling fake wine on the princess character's dress, and you can tell there's some sort of recognition between them when they first encounter each other in this ballroom, and but she's done this as a means to get the dress off of Princess temporarily so she can don it. She'll put on a wig, and it's interesting that they look so very similar. You see these interspersed little flashbacks sort of to when Ange was a child, and it's somewhat gobsmacking just how much there's similarities between them, how they look. Although Ange does point out that they're kind of opposite in nature. How would she know that exactly, is the begging question. And so, of course, long story short, they end up having their hand forced because Princess realizes, okay, there's some kind of spy game afoot here. It's an overhanging question how she pieced that together. You don't find out till the very end. But they manage, for all intents and purposes, to get the key off of this official, and they manage to not be, sort of sniffed out by the Duke of Normandy when he finally shows up, killing the official for the lack of attaining the key that he was promised. And so Ange's people, they have their hand forced. They have to go along with Princess, become part of this sort of, spearheaded movement that she is leading, or else they're going to be, all is going to be revealed, and they're going to be endangered and such like that. And so I was like, ooh, damn, this is crazy. When finally the bell rings toward the end, that is the signal that, okay, we'll agree to these terms, we'll work with you, Princess, and all this kind of stuff. But then the next morning, at dawn of the next morning, there is Princess speaking to Ange, and Ange is like, the people back in control, my headquarters, they're really wondering how you sniffed us out, how you knew we were the spies, what we were up to, and all this stuff. And she, Princess produces a note saying, oh, well, my dear, it was because you told me, I was like, wait, what? And then you realize they knew each other. The recognition that was there earlier was all because apparently they're much more closely related than we would have at first been aware. Now, I don't know if they were just childhood friends, if Ange was a servant girl working with the princess's family, if they're like twin sisters, long lost, sisters that are now being reunited. But apparently this was Ange's real mission statement, was to realign with her sister and, I guess, work against the side she originates from. And that just, I was thunderstruck at that revelation that Ange and Princess, they know each other, apparently intimately. They haven't seen each other for something like 10 years, I think. But they knew each other enough, even after all that time away, for that connectivity, for that recognition with Princess when she first lays eyes upon Ange. And Ange's real name is Charlotte. And it's just like, whoa. Whoa. I enjoyed the episode. I really loved the meticulously beautiful ballroom animation, all of the character designs, the ball gowns and everything. I mean, it was gorgeous. The colors, the music, the pacing of it, it was all pitch perfect, with the exception of one scene, a sort of cascading overhead sequence where it was abundantly apparent that the ballroom was CGI. Called that one into question a little bit. But I enjoyed it, but it wasn't until the very end that suddenly I was like, holy F. I gotta talk about this stuff. I gotta talk about what just happened here. So this is how Ange became a part of this spy game we saw in full swing in the first episode. And I'm dumbstruck. I'm like, holy hell. What was a passive episode suddenly became utmost compelling and intriguing to me. I had to talk about this. I had to react to it. And I mean, after the fact, I can't promise that I'm going to be back every single episode. It all depends on how I'm left feeling after a given episode of any series. Whether or not I'm going to be motivated to come on and do a video talking about it, discuss it back and forth with you guys in the comments, and all of that good stuff. This was an exception. It wasn't until the very end of the episode that I was like, okay, I got to talk about this. The whole rest of the time I'm like, nah, I don't got to do a video. I'm enjoying it, but nothing really worthy of discussing. All of a sudden, that other leg drops in the finale of this episode, and I'm like, I got to talk about this. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this particular episode of Princess Principal. If you've seen it as well, if you were gobsmacked about this revelation as much as I was. Because that's what really was the motivation to come on and talk about it in any estimation. I enjoyed it otherwise. I thought the animation, the character designs, everything was so gorgeous, so utmost beautiful. But story-wise, it wasn't captivating to me until that moment at the end. And that's why I'm here right now talking about it. So, yeah, let me know in the comments below. Love it or hate it, anything goes, just as long as we have a great conversation. And, yeah, otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.